SG, this is Blink, and I wanted to get you guys a video blog because I haven't been around for a while. I think my last blog was almost, the last blog that actually said anything was almost a month ago, and didn't even really say that much. So I kind of wanted to give you guys an update of where I've been for the last month or so. And it seems like I only give you guys video blogs when, bad shit happens to me, but it's kind of easier just to, talk about it instead of me trying to type it. It doesn't really, work the same. But as if you read my blog, I went to Alaska recently to visit my sister for her birthday, and I was there for about 9 days, and honestly, Alaska's probably the most gorgeous place that I've ever visited. I really just wanted to stay forever. It kind of was really hard for me to get on that plane. I drove pretty much everywhere, all over the state. I drove down Kenai, all over the peninsula, and then straight up from Anchorage to Fairbanks, where my sister lives and goes to school, and pretty much saw as much of the state as possible. It's absolutely gorgeous. Total tourist. I'm going to post a bunch of pictures in the blog that's going to be below this so you can see, what I saw. It's absolutely amazing. But the real interesting things that happened, not so much interesting, but why I haven't been around so much, happened immediately as I got back into New Jersey. Kind of on the plane, second plane from Chicago to New Jersey, I started feeling a little sick. And I get off the plane and I pretty much have a fever. I have about 102. And I get home. I go to work for one day. I had to go to work the next day. It lasted about 5 hours before they kicked my ass out. Told me to go to the doctor. And the doctor said I had the flu, which is fine. Everyone's getting the flu now. It's kind of flu season. It wasn't swine flu, so don't even think about that. That's ridiculous. But after they kicked me out of work, the very next day, I'm in the hospital, and we're getting x-rays and tests done, and my doctor says I have pneumonia, which I've never had pneumonia before. It's completely new to me. I wasn't coughing, so I didn't think that I actually had pneumonia, but apparently I did. And I was having... They thought of it mostly because I was having trouble swallowing and breathing. It kind of hurt kind of in this area. So they give me antibiotics, send me home. Next day, even worse pain. Kind of felt like every time I tried to breathe in, someone was punching me in the chest. I couldn't drink anything. I was getting really dehydrated. I hadn't had anything to drink almost in 3 days at this point. I couldn't eat anything. Even taking a little sip of water was excruciating. Eating was completely out of the question. So I go back to the hospital. I actually go to a different hospital. So there's 2 hospitals in 2 days. They say my chest wall is inflamed from pneumonia. Give me some anti-inflammatories. Pump me full of IV fluids and send me home, thinking that everything's going to be, all well and good. I managed to stay like that for about 1 day, curled up in the fetal position on my bed, and end up in the hospital again. Still can't drink anything, still haven't eaten anything. I was probably going on about 5 days without eating at this point, before I go back to the hospital. Third hospital, completely different hospital, and they admit me. I ended up there for about 3 days. They ran a bunch of tests. Turns out I had a humongous, big honking ulcer in my esophagus, pretty much around here. Almost in between boobs, but, esophagus. Which was kind of what was hurting every time I was trying to breathe and eat. And since no one had actually, bothered to do real tests other than x-rays and looking at me, they didn't know this for about 5 days. So at this point I was dehydrated again, and I still hadn't eaten. Actually, total, I didn't eat any food at all. Not even nothing, absolutely nothing for about 8 days. And that would be after I was actually released from the hospital. So I have a big honking ulcer in my esophagus that no one caught. I pretty much sat in bed for a couple of days feeling like I was going to die because I hadn't eaten anything. I hadn't been able to drink anything. They were pumping me full of painkillers and all of these antibiotics and stuff that probably really didn't do anything to help me. Pretty much just sitting there in agony in the hospital, and there's really not much that they can do for an ulcer except, pump me full of painkillers and fluids and wait. So I'm in the hospital for about 3 days. I go home, still excruciating, still haven't eaten, trying to, I can't even like sit up out of bed at this point. I still have, you know, fever. I have huge stomach pains. They did, you know, ultrasounds of all my organs. So they call me later and tell me that I have like a huge burst cyst on my ovary too, which is causing stomach pains, which I don't know how that happens at all. But apparently, you know, I pretty much have a trifecta of fail going on. When I get sick big. I pretty much got everything that I could possibly get to feel as miserable as possible in a 2-week period. I was out of work for 2 weeks. I kind of thought they were going to fire me because I don't have any sick leave, and I just used about 9 days of vacation. Well, not 9, like 6 days of vacation times. Don't count the weekends. But yeah, that kind of swallowed 3 weeks of my life right there. Amazing Alaska trip, followed immediately by 2 weeks of horrendous pain and illness and hospitalizations. I've got so many IV puncture marks in me right now. I look like a freaking heroin addict. It's really bad. I had them on my hands, and you can still see the ones on my arms. I've still got huge bruises. You can't see it now, but the IV bruised me all up my arm where my vein was. So I looked a mess, and I looked, I was pale and awful. I lost about 12 pounds from not eating. And I'm still not allowed to really eat almost anything. I'm on a bland diet, which means don't eat anything tasty for like 6 weeks, which I'm not listening to entirely, because I'm fucking starving. But yeah, that was pretty much my last month of hell. I've got some stories from Alaska, but I can type those up and you'll get those in the blog below. So yeah, that's about it for now. I'll try to actually start updating this again now that I can, you know, sit up without being in pain and move around and things are actually happening to me, as opposed to sitting in bed watching, you know, daytime television and reruns of Law and Order for 2 weeks. So I'll catch you guys later, and hopefully if I do another video blog, it won't be about more shit that's bad happening to me. I'll try to get a video blog in there that's about, you know, something happy for once. So I'll catch you guys later, and check out the blog below so you can see all my pictures. Peace out.